She screamed into the phone, "There's an armed man in the garage. Send every unit." Before I could even open my mouth, red and blue lights flashed across my driveway. My hands were covered in grease, not blood. I'd been fixing my old Chevy, the same one my dad left me. When Karen from across the street decided I was some kind of criminal, I froze as half a dozen cops jumped out with rifles raised. "Hands up!" one shouted. I did as told, heart pounding, trying to make sense of it all. My wife yelled from the porch, "He's not armed, he's fixing the car." But they didn't listen. One wrong twitch and it could have been over. Then bang! A single deafening gunshot split the air. For a second I thought I was hit, but it wasn't me. One of the officers stumbled backward, eyes wide, clutching his shoulder. Another man, tall and dressed in a gray suit, collapsed near my open garage door. The street went silent. Karen gasped, her phone slipping from her hand. "Oh my God. That's the governor," she whispered, stepping back as if the ground had burned her. The officers froze. One of them looked at me like I was a ghost. "Sir," he said, lowering his weapon. "We didn't know he was here." I looked down at the man in the suit, lying half inside my garage. The governor, the same man I had an appointment with today. He was supposed to come privately to inspect the land dispute. My land. The one Karen had been trying to claim for her HOA. Karen's mouth trembled. I didn't mean," she stuttered, eyes darting between me and the officers. I stepped closer, my voice low but steady. "You called the cops to get me shot, and now look what you've done." The cops didn't move. Nobody spoke. Only the faint hum of my garage light and the smell of gunpowder filled the air. And as they carried the governor out, still breathing but pale, I knew one thing. This was far from over, because Karen had just turned my quiet life into a political nightmare, and I wasn't going down alone. The sirens faded as they rushed the governor away, leaving a cloud of dust and questions behind. My driveway looked like a crime scene, yellow tape, bullet shells, and neighbors peeking from their windows. Karen stood there trembling, hugging herself, trying to look innocent, but I could see the guilt written all over her face. 2 detectives approached me, their expressions sharp. "Sir, we need your statement," one said. "Why was the governor in your garage?" I took a breath, trying to stay calm. "He came to see me," I said, "about my land. Karen's HOA has been trying to seize it illegally. He promised to review the documents himself." Karen jumped in, her voice cracking. "That's a lie. He wouldn't meet you. You're just what?" I snapped, stepping closer. "A mechanic? A nobody?" She froze, realizing she'd said too much. The detectives exchanged a look. One pulled out a small device. "A body cam." "Ma'am," he said slowly, "did you call in a false report?" Karen's eyes darted toward the officers who had fired their guns. I thought he was dangerous. He threatened me before." "That's not true," my wife shouted from the porch. "We have everything on camera." Everyone turned. The security system on our garage blinked red. The footage already uploaded to cloud storage. My heart steadied. That was my insurance policy, the one Karen didn't know existed. The lead detective sighed. "We'll need to review that footage immediately." Karen's face went pale. "No, you can't," she started, but it was too late. The officer was already calling tech support to retrieve the video. As they walked off, Karen turned to me, her voice trembling but full of hate. "You think this will end well for you? You have no idea who I am." I smiled faintly, my voice cold. "You're about to find out who I am." Because beneath my calm voice and greasy hands was something Karen never suspected, something that would flip this entire mess upside down. That night, after everyone left, my house felt too quiet. The flashing lights were gone, but their reflections still danced in my mind. My wife sat beside me at the kitchen table, hands shaking as she scrolled through the security footage. "They fired right into our garage," she whispered. "They could have killed you." I nodded slowly. "They almost did." But what caught my eye wasn't the gunfire. It was the moment before it happened. The governor's car had pulled into my driveway, headlights off. He'd stepped out alone, looking nervous, glancing around like he didn't want to be seen. Then Karen appeared from the shadows across the street, phone in hand, whispering to someone before dialing 911. My stomach twisted. "She knew he was coming," I said. "She set this up." My wife frowned. "But why would she want to hurt the governor?" I leaned back, my mind racing. Maybe she didn't want him to see the documents. The land deed exposes the HOA's fraud. Half the houses around here are built on illegally acquired land. If the governor saw that, her whole empire would collapse. Before I could say more, headlights flashed through the window again. I tensed, gripping the edge of the table. A black SUV stopped outside. Not police this time. Different plates, tinted windows. 3 men stepped out, suits, earpieces, moving with military precision. One of them knocked on my door. "Mr. Lawson," he said firmly, "we need to speak with you now." My wife whispered, "Who are they?" The man held up a badge. "State security." I opened the door, trying to look calm. "If this is about what happened, it is." The man interrupted. "The governor's condition is critical." But before he passed out, he said something. "Something about you." "About me?" I asked quietly. The agent nodded. He said, "Tell him. I know the truth about the land." Karen, who had been peeking from her porch across the street, froze when she saw the agents talking to me. Her face drained of color. I could almost see the panic spreading across her mind. And that's when I realized she wasn't working alone. The agents asked me to come with them, their tone calm but firm. My wife wanted to follow, but one of them said gently, "Ma'am, we just need him for a few questions." I gave her a small nod, trying to reassure her, though inside I felt the weight of something much bigger closing in. The ride was silent. The black SUV moved smoothly through the empty streets until we reached a government building downtown. They led me into a small conference room, plain walls, 1 camera in the corner, and a folder on the table with my name on it. The agent who had spoken earlier opened the file. Inside were photos of me, the governor, and even Karen. "You weren't supposed to know each other," he said slowly, "but the governor arranged a private visit to your property." "That's unusual." "Why?" I took a deep breath. "Because he found out the HOA board was forging property titles. My land is one of them. Karen and her group have been extorting homeowners for years." The agent's eyes narrowed. "You have proof?" I nodded. "Everything's on the drive the governor dropped off last week. I haven't even opened it yet." Another agent leaned forward. "Mr. Lawson, that drive is missing." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean missing?" "It wasn't in the garage when we searched. Someone took it before the shooting." My mind went straight to Karen. She'd been right there before the chaos started. She had a key to the shared mailboxes and once bragged about accessing people's parcels. "She took it," I said. "She's covering her tracks." Before they could respond, the intercom crackled. "Agents, we have a situation," a voice said. "The suspect, Karen Miller, has fled the neighborhood. Security cameras caught her heading toward the state border." The lead agent turned to me. "Mr. Lawson, you said you have military experience." I nodded slowly, pulse quickening. "Why?" He stood, slipping his badge into his jacket. "Because we're going after her, and we could use someone who knows what she's capable of." For the first time that night, a grim smile crossed my face. "Then let's bring her back." The agents moved fast, coordinating routes and checkpoints while I rode shotgun in the lead vehicle. The night air felt heavy, like something big was about to break. My phone buzzed. It was my wife. "Be careful," she whispered. "She's desperate now. Don't underestimate her." I smiled faintly. "I won't. Not this time." The highway stretched ahead, dark and empty, except for a single SUV speeding toward the border. "That's her," one agent said, zooming in on the license plate. "We've got her." As we caught up, Karen's car suddenly swerved off the main road, heading into an old service lane that led to the cliffs above the river. Typical, she thought she could escape through the back roads. We followed, headlights cutting through the fog. When we finally cornered her, she stepped out of the car, hands shaking, holding a small silver flash drive. "You don't understand," she yelled. "This isn't just HOA business. This goes way higher." The lead agent raised a hand. "Drop it, Karen. It's over." She laughed, bitter and broken. "Over? You think they'll let the truth come out? You're all just pawns." I stepped forward, my voice steady. "You destroyed lives, Karen. You tried to get me killed. Whatever truth you're hiding ends tonight." She hesitated, then threw the flash drive into the air, trying to crush it under her heel. But I moved faster, diving forward and catching it before it hit the ground. "Got it," I said, standing up, dirt on my hands but calm in my chest. The agents cuffed her as she screamed about conspiracies and control. Later, in the governor's hospital room, I stood quietly as he opened his eyes, weak but alive. "You did good, son," he whispered. "That drive, it's proof of everything." Within days, the news exploded. Corruption, fraud, and abuse of power across multiple HOA boards, all linked to Karen's network. The footage from my garage went viral. The truth finally had a voice. A month later, I stood in the same driveway where it all began. The bullet holes were patched, the Chevy was fixed, and my wife stood beside me, smiling. Across the street, Karen's old house sat empty, a red sign on the lawn, "Property under state investigation." I looked around at the peaceful neighborhood, the sound of wind through the trees. "You know," I said softly, "I didn't fight for this country just to be told I can't open my own garage." My wife smiled. "Now everyone knows." As the sun set over the quiet street, I slipped the flash drive into my pocket, a reminder of how close I'd come to losing everything, and how sometimes the fight for truth starts right at home. She tried to ruin my life with lies. I ended hers with the truth.